Hi, everyone. Here to explain your week one assignment for distance learning. The topic is energy. Let's play. So this first assignment is a lot of review, hopefully for everyone. If you remember back to the end of last quarter, we had a presentation where you had to pick a sport and explain how the law of conservation of momentum applied to the sport. So before and after a collision, momentum should be the same. But it also asked you to look into energy transformations and sort of started out explaining what the law of conservation of energy is. So energy is our first topic here for distance learning. And I found this great activity on STEM Scopes where you're examining just a typical toy that you can find at home and looking at the different types of energy. So just to kind of review the different types of potential energy. So for potential energy, you have chemical potential energy. So that's the energy stored in the bonds of the atoms. A lot of times, like when you're eating food, food has potential energy stored in it. And then once your digestive system starts to break it down and turn it into ATP, that converts that chemical potential energy into another form of energy. Springs and elastic potential energy, so like a rubber band or a spring has potential energy when you stretch it out, and then when you let go, it bounces back. Nuclear potential energy, obviously stored in the nucleus of an atom. So when you break apart an atom or you fuse them together, they have potential energy there. And then of course, gravitational potential energy. So any object that you hold from a certain height and you let go, whatever distance it is from the ground gives it a certain amount of potential energy. For kinetic energy, this is the moving type of energy. So once that transformation occurs, a lot of times it transforms into some sort of moving energy. So radiant energy is visible light and other electromagnetic waves. So the EMS, so the electromagnetic spectrum has things like microwaves, radio waves, X-rays, visible light. All of that is part of this radiant kinetic energy. Thermal energy is heat. So as you heat up something, if you put energy into water, the molecule starts to move around a lot and it starts to produce heat. Motion, just general mechanical energy. So if you're thinking like gears or things that like cranks or anything like that that can generate some mechanical motion, that is a kinetic energy. Electrical energy is the flow of electrons in a conductor. You have sound energy, so my voice is giving off energy in vibrating objects, and like if you you can even feel the vibration happening in your vocal cords. And then finally, again, chemical energy. So when you mix two chemicals together and they explode, you have another type of kinetic energy. So the law of conservation of energy, just to kind of review here, is states that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It is simply transferred from one form to another. So for your assignment today, it's called Energy Let's Play, and it's posted on Microsoft Teams, so you can find the worksheet there and follow along. But just to kind of go over what you're going to do, you need to find a toy or gadget at your home and make some observations about it. Just follow along with each of the lab questions to make your observations. But what you're really looking for here is how the toy uses energy and transforms it or converts it into another form. you'll need to make a sketch of your object for one of the questions. And I'd like you to do that on a separate sheet of paper. And just make sure, when you go to turn it in, that you take a picture of that and attach it to the document itself that you're filling out. Another thing for question 10, you may need to research or Google the object if you're not sure what form of energy is being transferred. So they give you a list of like 10 different objects. And so if you're not real familiar with it, I recommend just researching it and looking at, or going back to that list of all the different types of potential and kinetic energy and trying to identify which ones are being transferred where. And then part 2 of the lab, we couldn't do the whole thing, so I just kind of cut it down to just 3 questions that just go over the law of conservation of energy and the different formulas for like potential energy. And so those, all you need to do is research those. You can find them very easily online. And then finally, when you go to turn it in, you're going to need to use Teams. So like I said before, the assignment is already posted into Teams, and there is an editable copy of the assignment posted in Teams for you. So you can just open that and start typing in your answers right on that document. Make sure to also attach a photo of your sketch of your object. That sketch should not just be a drawing of your object, but also include, the question asks you to draw in arrows and show where that energy transformation is occurring. And then finally, last thing is make sure you hit that turn in button at the top right of your screen in Microsoft Teams, because I can see it, but I can't grade your assignment until you hit that turn in button. So that's really important to remember that when you go to turn in your assignment. So that is our first assignment for this week. Thank you very much.